In this section of the course, we will discuss on what standards are and why we need them, focusing on health data standards. We will also explore the characteristics of standards preparation process. To begin with, what are standards? That's a critical question, and I hope all of you have an answer to that in your own terms. With the industrial improvement and introduction of new technological advancements, human life becomes heavily dependent on standards. A standard is a technical document designed to serve as a rule, guideline, or definition in a specific area of expertise. In order a standard to be governing and holistic, all stakeholders affected by the standard one way or another should be part of the development process. Knowingly or unknowingly, we human beings follow different standards to perform our day-to-day activities. For example, when we try to plug in our mobile device for charging, we make sure that the charger and the mobile interface are well matched. And beyond that, we also tend to see if the charger and wall outlet are also compatible. If they appear to be incompatible, we try to solve the problem by finding an interface that will be in between them as a mediator. All those in-between issues are solved by the help of standards. The manufacturers of those different devices might not only be different, but they might not even know each other. What makes them be on the same page is an abiding standard that enforces each of them to produce a product with a certain criteria. That certain criteria is the standard that we are looking forward to discussing, focusing on health information systems. Okay, I have explained what standards are, and let's jump right into the concept of standards in the health system. As we all know, the health system is a complex system of systems, and those systems and building blocks should interact and exchange information among and between them with a certain workflow. As part of the process of standardization, the WHO has clearly stated the health information systems as one component or building block of the health system with the responsibility of enhancing workflow and business processes. In the past 50 years, the health system has been leveraging products of information communication technologies, and these ICT-based services and products have been viable input in empowering the health system business process. But chances were high that different ICT systems and infrastructures with similar functionality were implemented. Those different electronic systems have been collecting the same data for multiple uses. Data needed for clinical care, consumer informatics, aggregated health management information reporting might be collected and recorded in a given health information application. But since implementation of those different applications is different and depends on interest of health facilities, the longitudinal communication of patient history between facilities and within multiple electronic applications become hard to achieve. That's why the idea of data standard came to stage. Health data standards support interoperable communication between health information exchange components. As you can see from the picture, each component of the OpenHIE architecture sends or receives data or information for the realization of data demand and information used for decision making. The decision could be clinical, support clients' continuum of care, or managerial to amend policy or strategy. But what if you want to have your own data standard? Assume you came across a live event in which a standard is needed to fit in. What do you need to do? Well, the power of standard comes with the power of all stakeholders using it. It should really be common. If it's not, then it's not a standard at all. Having enough stakeholders is not also enough, whereas openness and acceptability of the standard are also a major concern. The open process should leverage the openness and acceptability of the standards in all possible ways. Most of the time, standards are supported by open community groups and organizations backed by either government agencies or academic institutions. Having said that, let's move on to the characteristics of standard preparation process. Here, we will mention 6 characteristics of standard formulation process. The first and the main one is relevance. The need for the standard should be well analyzed and its need should be with no question. The second one is transparency. All the process of the standard preparation should be public, and all technical discussions, meeting minutes, and documents should be archived and openly referenced when needed. In the third, we see openness. Anybody who wants to participate should be privileged. As standards are holistic by their very nature, participants can come from different walks of life, industry, academia, public, and government bodies on a worldwide scale. With that, we have to make sure the participatory process is fair enough to host all participants according to their capability and willingness. Then, we have to create an access option to processes and products of the standard development process, even if these products are working in progress. It's also advisable if the license of the product is supported by free access. Finally, phase-based monitoring and evaluation mechanisms should be considered in all the process of development of data standards. Why health data standards? We will discuss the values or advantages of health data standards in the next section in detail, but generally speaking, creating data standards is all about interoperability, which is the ability to exchange data standards between systems. Before the concept of interoperability, there are ideas of modeling and representation. Modeling is all about crafting the real-life scenario into data records, and representation is the decision on which standards to use, represent, and store the data records. As you can see, representation could be in syntactic, grammatical sentence, or semantic wording. We have seen how standards are vital to the concept of interoperability. But how do computers talk to achieve that communication in between? As you can see on the screen, this chunk code is a typical message which anybody from us could not plainly understand. This is how computers talk to each other on a chunk of code representing a specific action or condition. If we took this HL7v2 message, it has some tags or segments to identify what that specific action means. Each tag has its own meaning. For example, a message OBR segment IDs are agreed standards to represent a message header and observation request, respectively.